Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Well, it's time for our weekly live stream. And before we dig into that, we've got to, of course, pay our bills and thank some folks. So, first we want to do is put a huge shout out to our friend and member Joe Bachman over at JB Tech Apps, bit.ly/JB Tech Apps. His donation of StreamYard money keeps us streaming. So huge thanks to him. I also want to shout out, let me see, his project, indiecd.org, which is the independent creator directory where authors, artists, sword masters, game designers, and other people have all come together to get listed in sort of one-stop white pages for independent creators so that you can shop small both as a patron of the arts and as a purveyor of the arts. And speaking of patrons, please remember we're also very much made possible by the Historical Fencing Guild's Patreon, which is www.historicalfencingguild. I'm sorry, www.patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. And all my books, including The Simple Sword, that was a sound, The Simple Sword, The Fighting Axe, and The Simple Spear, are all available through Amazon at amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tuckert. Beyond that, we do have some stuff to talk about. We'll hit the chat real quick. Stream date thesis. Joined by Foxy, and so Foxy and Thesis and me. Evening, folks. Evening. Hope you all are having a wonderful time. Don't forget to smash the like button so that we can keep telling this around. Now, I do have some stuff to talk about. First and foremost, I have to talk about a comment that was made on one of my comments on actually a video I shared about side sword fighting with a rotella, which is a round shield. Think of what I improvised with the kid sled, but literally for fencing, an actual shield. And he said the neat thing about the side sword, because it was the side sword in rotella, is it's system agnostic, much like the simple sword is sword agnostic. And then he went in at, well, as long as it's straight. I think that's a fascinating point to discuss. Because one thing I do, I have to mute this while I am streaming, is, there we go. One thing we have to do while we're talking about what we do is why I did it the way I did. And the simple sword really is something I don't talk enough about. It's very easy for me to take this book for granted that it exists and that people have read it, because I've yet to find anything like it. And I want to talk about the why is it sort of agnostic? Well, because I have a theory, and you'll bear with me, but because the angles and geometry of the human body is basically the same, simply adjusted for body type and the bone structure of whether you are from a cis definition male or female, because there are some minor skeletal and tendon setup differences that do have an effect on how one sword fights. It could be bunnies. It could be, oh yes, could be bunnies, I guess. But I wanted something that, regardless of what system you wanted to go into, you could take what you learned and apply at least a healthy margin of it, and whatever system you're discussing could have a Rosetta Stone. Because basically anything from about 20 inches to about 48 inches long and wielded one-handed is covered in this book, depending on the scale of the wielder. Now, in crossing over to longer weapons, yes. Sorry, Buffy joke. One of the episodes, I have a theory it could be Buffy bunnies. Is just a thing now. Yes, but unlike Anya, I am not terrified of bunnies. I am an old Joss Whedon fan, and for many years, I thought Buffy was my favorite work of his until Firefly hit. And I have learned one thing about Joss Whedon in particular that will pull us back around. Any character I identify with is very likely to get impaled. I'm not sure why, but it happens, and it happens at such a frequency. I'm a little uneasy if I ever would have the chance to meet the man. Good evening, Cindy Kep at CKOEPP.com. How are you? But getting back into what I want to talk about just a little bit before we get into some of the other stuff, pursuing a system agnostic style, a weapons agnostic style, that is, gives you the fastest, broadest base for developing your education further, and it allows you the easiest range where you can, for your scale, change a great deal about the weapon and still have the system that is built in the simple sword and then expounded in both the fighting axe and the simple spear. Well in hand. Now, that I find it interesting because we need to stop, and we're whenever you're rebuilding, and this is very much the season of rebuilding for a lot of us. We have to we have to go back to the basics. And I say that a lot, but I think it's very important that, and this is the link to the channel you're hopefully at. Please like, share, and subscribe. Going back to the basics is how one gets mastery, and revisiting them time and time again is how one refines one's style and their stamina, their strength, their understanding. So the journey of, you go to where you about feel like you're a master, and then you go again. And when you learn a style like this, where you can approach it, you can analyze others. And one thing is, if you know that someone you're fighting has, Cindy's plugging my wonderful looks, has videos, watch how they fight. Okay, sports teams all over the world watch videos of their opponent, the teams they're going to play against. There's a give and take of learning. Now, sorry, that stylistic espionage, for lack of a better word, is something that is both reasonable and expected in a situation where you may fight the same individuals over and over again in a given organization. You need to be able to analyze them. And learning how to analyze people will let you, thank you, Cindy, the Historical Fencing Guild, to support all our shenanigans. It is really appreciated. It is how you learn their strengths and weaknesses, and by watching your videos, you learn yours. Now, a lot of us, I find Western martial arts, from 20 years of teaching it, have certain patterns. It is a matter of extremes. Very often we have people who are in the extreme of, they have a whole lot of aggression or very little aggression. They're very uncomfortable making the first move. You'll have people who are very comfortable and think they are incredibly skilled, whether they are or not, and met people who doubt themselves greatly. I'm sorry, guys. There is a storm rolling through, and it's making me yawn. Uh, this all comes to you don't want slant. Okay, you want as much accuracy as you can in your assessments. And sometimes it's hard to say, wow, I am just more skilled than that guy. Okay, but I need to be patient because they do X, Y, and Z very well. And by learning, you learn about yourselves. This is why I encourage whenever you are sparring, especially if you videotape your practicing and your drilling, you will see what's wrong with your form. If you videotape your sparring, you'll see what's wrong with your approach. The other thing is you'll see what you're doing right. And by seeking that balance, you achieve harmony. You achieve literal balance in your mind and in your approach. Balance is important, both physical balance and mental balance and emotional balance. So you can't, if you let your self-confidence become hubris, the world will adjust it for you. But if you let it become doubt, you will be trampled over. And I don't want any of those to happen. So that is part of the aspect I want to build up. Self-awareness. And again, that's self-awareness. Boy, it seems like that feeds into something I harp on about a lot too. Because I talk about situational awareness and I talk about battlefield or tactical awareness. Self awareness is the same concept. It's the mindfulness of being in your situation enough to be able to measure what threats and opportunities are in place. And that is one thing that learning to spar really helps with, is that it lets you see openings and make openings, which you will not have if you just drill. I have an echo. Let me check my system real quick. Because I just checked it. I should not have an echo. Camera, USB live, audio, echo cancellation is on. The speakers are off. Well, let's try this. Is the echo better or is it worse? Let me know. Paris Corvus, hello, welcome. I'm here. I just don't know where to start. Well, actually, you found a wonderful place to start, Paris. So I don't make any mistakes. May I ask what your gender is? And further, what are you interested in? Because what we do here is we're a bunch of martial artists who. Okay, cool. It's better and there's no echo, then we won't worry about it. We help build up. We make suggestions. There are training videos. So one of the best things you can do is, if you're here, subscribe to this and start going through the backlog. Due to health reasons, there's been a rather substantial delay in the more practical videos, the sparring videos and things, between weather and, again, the aforementioned health issues. But we are all about helping people get that groundwork. Now, my name's Nick Tucker. I'm a freelance author, artist, and sword master. Oh, there she is. Paris is a friend of Foxy who's just starting. Okay, thank you, because now I can be sure that you're gendered as her, and I can let me just do that real quick to make sure my phone's not giving issues. I can help build you up. A lot of it is, what do you want to learn how to do? What styles interest you? What fictional characters have built you on your journey, Paris? Because that will influence a lot on what you how you train. I also want to talk about. I will recommend, as I was discussing earlier, my book. This is not shameless self promotion. The Simple Sword is one of the best reference volumes you can get for learning from the point of I've never picked up a sword on out to eventually be able to teach people, start making some of your own gear. Um, I need to add far more in this series. I only have 3 books in the series so far. The additional 2, if you missed it, focus on the spear and the axe. But I spent I've been teaching people how to sword fight for 20 years. I spent 12 years in the Society for Creative Anachronism before I escaped. And I have taught and worked with people across dozens of different styles and dozens of different groups. My goal, hoping to build uh, people up from the ground up so that they are safe and it is easy. So, what I would say, and okay, you echo when you move farther away, either that or you're getting, that's very possible. Hi, some person. First thing you want to do is figure out one. I really would consider acquiring my book. If you dig through the videos, actually, you could go to the very first video I ever posted here many moons ago. It will be a younger, much browner haired version of me giving you the basic 9 guards that are born from classical fencing. Uh, I start people when it comes to weapons with the single sword, and I can give you a breakdown. Do you have anything you can drill with? A sword simulating object, if you will. I would always advise not to train with sharp weapons for obvious safety concerns. Um, if if you have a specific style you want to train in mind, I can recommend uh, both ways to make a very simple training tool. This is one of my favorites. I'm going to move this out. This is simply a chunk of PVC. This is half-inch PVC. The thick wall stuff, not the real thin wall stuff. Some end caps, a bit of rope, and this is a type of grip tape I had. I believe this is actually like muscle, like you sprained something, athletic tape wrapped around the outside. You can select your blade length. Now, a sword should basically, this is almost the proper length of a rapier. Let me just demonstrate. The blade should not be any longer than your, from your center line to your outstretched 2 fingers. So, that is really where you want to start with a trainer. And you want to get yourself a trainer that you're comfortable with. It does not need to be expensive. It can be as simple as a stick, preferably a straight stick with no sharp edges on it that you've rounded the ends off so that you could start teaching very basic, very simple body mechanics to yourself. There, I could give the whole walkthrough. I give a walkthrough instruction, a sort of fast and dirty because it was requested by a friend who didn't have time to read, um, of how to get started with the simple sword. Oh, Italian side sword. Wonderful, wonderful. So, okay, yes, I go by she, her. Right, and right now I'm primarily interested in Italian side sword. I literally have never used a sword in my life, so I'm starting from the ground up. Wonderful. Ah, let me see. Is my trainer here? I actually designed a the Italian side sword trainer for Purple Heart Armory. I commissioned a custom one. You can still get the design. You just have to contact Christian directly. But in that case, if you have the funds, I would definitely recommend acquiring a copy of the Simple Sword because the Simple Sword is going to walk you through. This is one of my personal and somewhat beat up copy because I actually use this one. Uh, the parts of a sword. I am a classical rapierist and side sword guy. That's like my personal favorite weapon set to uh, wield. So we talk about how to measure, how to stand, and throughout the book, everything is covered when it's visually in these very precise stick figures to make it easy. There are 9 basic guards that you can learn relatively quickly. That will give you, once you learn 9 guards and a couple basic strategies, you can learn to fence fairly prolifically. Do you have an organization you're intending to train with, or are you just out there on your own trying to find a home, stylistically? Because I am absolutely here for it. Also, do you have any physical limitations? I have worked with people with severe rheumatoid arthritis, limited mobility, visual impairment, uh, EDS. Please don't make me try to say the proper name for that. Assorted other conditions. We can build a style that works for you for whatever you are. And if you are simply a healthy young lady, we can definitely work on making sure you find it. In the case of Italian side sword, I definitely would suggest getting either, if you are handy, making a simple trainer, or I do have a preferred company, and I will flash the website on the screen right now. Uh, woodenswords.com/?click equals 75. Please get that. That's the affiliate link. If you go through the description on this video, and indeed most of my more recent videos, you'll be able to do that. That does 2 things. It doesn't cost you anything. I get 2% of whatever you buy. So the cost for me is irrelevant. But more importantly, I get recognition as somebody whose voice matters. There's a basic line of trainer that is really what I would recommend starting with, especially if you don't know what kind of group you want to go to. Because if you do join a group, any group you join will have their own conventions, which means rules of how they do things, usually for safety and like scoring, things like that. Uh, and let's see. I'm I'm close by Kitty, but I'm a bit skittish around strangers due to some personal issues. So meeting people isn't in the cards at the moment. That is fine. I am all about helping a solitary practitioner get built up. There are some pieces of equipment I can recommend that will make it easier. Um, a simple target, something as easy as a small throw pillow that you practice poking to feel the calibration of how hard you're hitting, that you can either hang from a nail on the wall or a command hook or something like that. And hanging a ball, such as the kind of, you could actually buy it pre-made, the balls that they use to make, to hang in garages, the little tennis balls that already have a hole through them. And using that as a point control target will help a lot. Point control, I realize I'm using a term and I'm talking fast because I'm excited, so I'm going to slow it down. Uh, Whoa, you cleared up all of a sudden. That could, there is a very bad windstorm going on, so that might be affecting things. Uh, Oops, let me get that banner down because it's a little distracting. But I have videos that we can talk about building your stance, how you move, how you fight, how the basics of Italian side sword. After you have some basics built up, I can recommend several authors, other than myself, of course, who have many in-depth, more focused training methods. Most of them will agree with mine, some don't, and then you get to pick what works with you. The trick is just finding a style that works with you. Um, well, it can. It completely can. I suppose body wise, I'm close in stature to Foxy. Short and chubby with a fairly large chest. I don't know if that matters. Well, there will be adjustment. I had the benefit of 20 years ago when I started fencing, uh, and almost immediately ended up passing my training on for reasons that make me more. We'll just say I am now uniquely qualified to work with people of different builds, especially women. Uh, it can affect how your stances move. Okay, that's fine, and what works for you. It will mean you probably want shorter weapons. So, like I said in the start of the book, you want to pick a weapon that the blade is no longer than your outstretched finger to your center line. So, if you take it from a line from right between your eyes, straight down your sternum, along your spine, to where your legs meet, that is your center line. We talk about that a lot because you kind of have to protect it. Uh, you always want to block your shots away from it, things like that. But for the body mechanics, you don't want the blade of your weapon to be any longer than that. So, let me see. Okay, let me pull something. I've been moving my weapons. This looks pretty, but it is actually a simple. This is a traditional foil. It is a 36-inch foil. And as you can see from my center line, which is hard to tell, I'm holding. Okay, you see how I'm holding it. It's about 3 inches, 4 inches away from my reach. Yes, absolutely. I'm just giving you the measured length, and you're quite all right. What you're talking about, a lot of times I have to use shorter weapons to fit in frame because of where I am. So we'll just use. Actually, here. This is my favorite live. This is a live steel sword. It is literally a Spanish side sword. Okay. I'm gonna put the sheath on it as it is, just to make it visible. Now, what you would take is when you're standing, your feet are shoulder width apart. Your weapon is between you and your opponent, outstretched in your primary hand. So if you're right-handed, right hand. Now we will train equally with our offhand. It is important you train equally because if you lose the ability to use a right hand, being able to switch effortlessly to your left hand will be a lifesaver. Um, Remembering the center line, all our parries work on the idea. This is more for more concussives, but it doesn't matter. I want you to see it of parrying out but keeping your tip online. It's very simple. So, what do I mean? Let me put that down and grab my stick up here. I may have to, yes, I suppose I will, have to arm you guys. Okay. So you guys are poking me. Wait, one more time. Yes, this is a knife trainer. Again, this is much shorter, but because of the location I'm in, I can't swing the full-length sword around. This is a relatively inexpensive trainer. And yes, many of my students are on the more statuesque scale, as is my wife. So, what I mean, okay, you're still out. We're going to talk about a keyhole grip. This is your buddy, where it wraps around a quillion or a guard. This gives you a lot of control. By deflecting with the tip, here, the sword that's incoming will angle off. So you're not trying to match strength with strength. You're just persuading it to go elsewhere, leaving an opening for you to come at it. Does that make sense? So if you're targeting over here, the same thing happens. Understanding this is going to give you a basis in, oops, sorry, bumped my camera a bit, how how weapons work. I do really, really recommend my book because it will tell you a lot of things very quickly, very simply. And yes, we do like boobs. And don't forget to like and share all these things. And yes, you will be standing upright. Your toe is pointed at the bad guy. Your back foot is almost 90 degrees. It's perpendicular. So you're in about a 45-degree angle. You may have to adjust slightly how you keep your offhand, because eventually, as you study this, you may want to put a dagger or a shield or a hand axe or other delightful things in that offhand. But everything happens from this position. So everything, you're going and then it comes in. Block out, come in. There are simple ways to get to that. But the first thing you need to do is make sure you have something you can train with and experiment with. If you're comfortable recording, record yourself and see what you're doing. I'm about 1.6 meters tall and a hobbit. Oh, you don't understand. That is literally my specialty. Side sword trainers. Okay. 1.6 meters. I am sorry. I think many of my students are my height or shorter. I just need to go check something so I can make sure I'm thinking right. One. One moment. We're having a mild bit of technical difficulty. And yes, that's what I'm running. Oh yeah, 5'2". That's fine. Okay, 5'2". Okay. Okay. 24 is 4. 30-inch blade. That's not even a challenge. Uh, I literally am a hobbit. I specialize in hobbit. I'm 5'8", 5'7", depending. I have one leg shorter than the other. Uh, so give me just a moment. That means you need about the if you're going side sword, something around a 30-inch blade, between 28 and 30-inch. Not that hard to find. Give me a moment. I can certainly help you with that. Are you looking for oops, this is in the wrong side. This, hold on. Sorry. This needs to go here. This needs to go here. I'm doing some behind the scenes things to make things easy. And don't ever feel bad about your weight. I was 5'6", 5'5" when I first started fencing. I had a couple inches of growth spurt in college out of the blue. And I'm now nearly 300 pounds. I'm a short, fat man. But I can still hold my own against people literally half my age. So, I'm comfortable with that. But we are going to go to PHA. And I will share the screen. So if you give me just a moment. Boom. And what I can do is help you pick something that's inexpensive and easy to work with. Let's see. due to my chest size. Yeah, an Italian is a great option for that. Now, I got to double check real quick because it's hard. Okay, that's what my screen looks like. Excellent. We'll put this away. Let's just let's just do this because you don't need me. This is Purple Heart Armory. If we go into basic trainers, what I would really recommend is either the 1.33, which is 30. Let me look at. I can't remember. Yep, 25. This is going to be a perfect little trainer for you. If I were to recommend one, you can. The blade length is 25 inches, which means it's going to be a little short. It'll be a little easier to handle. They have several other roughly in this price range, and it's very nearly invincible to break. Oh, hi, Joe. Oh, and hey, Joe's being greeted. Anyway, so I would really consider starting there. However, let me see if we can still find the old one. Side sword trainer. Give me a second because we're having. Sorry, I mistyped that. Side sword trainer. Alrighty. You have the Bolognese and the Venetian. There used to be an actual Italian one, but it's not listed. Italian side sword trainer. I want to see if it's findable. Not Italian side sword. Let's see if this will come out. Nope, that's an expensive live steel. Oh, that's fine. I just need to do the math. Forgive me, I was raised on Imperial, and while I acknowledge that metric is a superior system, it is difficult for me to mentally measure things in metric. And hi, Independent Creator Directory. Glad to see you here too. Guys, be sure to hit the like button. But we'll find out if that's still there. Still, let me get back to where I was. Basic trainers. Yes, I like the intricate hilts of rapiers, but the weight throws me off. I'd love to know which rapiers you were handling. These guys are all fairly light. I would consider something like the Bolognese if you're going for your full grip. Conversions are difficult. Oh, we've got... My net is being just a little spotty because it's running this. But, again, we can... These are sub $50. I still... bang for your buck, the 1.33, if you're doing side sword training, is the best for your buck. There are a whole bunch of other basic line trainers you can find in here. You may actually really like the Bowie hilt because it's also inexpensive, but that has a 20-inch blade. It's 26 long. I can show them. I just don't have them up in my study right now. I didn't realize I'd be discussing this type of thing. But check your measurements to be certain. And I say that because perhaps your arm length may be a little off. But this is the best place. These are made of high-density polypropylene. You can find similar trainers on Amazon. I do not know about the international shipping, as that sometimes can be an issue. Give me just a second, because I don't need that running. There we go. But That's why even a chunk of PVC or dowel rod, and just indicate where your blade's going to be. I walk with a cane, so though I have an astonishing number of trainers, I just use my cane as a trainer more often than not. Uh, you like the intricate hilts? Oh, rapiers are gorgeous, but the weight throws me off. I do want to know what rapiers you're handling because give me a moment. Actually, for you, this is beat up, but you'll have to add cotton the Christmas lights because, of course, it is. Oh, I need to treat that. This is a 30-inch. It's a little hard to see. Okay. This is not a fancy rapier. This has a cutlass grip, but it has a rapier point, and the weight is centered at the back, so it's incredibly agile. I can sit and write cursive with this. Where is... Now, my primary fencing sword, when I was doing steel rapier, make me drop everything, of course. Give me a second. Was this. This was my personal weapon, and it's seen better days. But has a triple dust guard, nice bell to it, 34-inch blade, and again, because of the style of grip, where you can get a keyhole, you have a tremendous amount of control. So, making sure that that fits you is where a lot of it just has to be handheld, and you have to figure out what feels right. I have to do some work on this guy. I can feel that this rigging is a little loose. Oh no, I may have to do a maintenance video. Yes, most rapiers I've handled look nothing like that. More intricate handles, and the weight is in the quillions, I think they're called. Yes, you probably have been handling swept hilt rapiers, so let's try this for a moment. I shouldn't have closed that window out. We can go then warriorarmory.com. Please. And we will go here. What I'm just setting up to do is make it where you can see options. If I had a picture of mine, I would show you. She's tried it, but it was too long and too heavy for her. Many of them are. The weight is the pommel is the back. The quillion is the cross piece, and all the artsy guards that get swept up. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of name that sword real quick. We'll figure out what is working for you, and we'll see. I have, of course, some suspicions, but we'll do this. Come here. There we are. And this is Zen Warrior Armory. This is where a lot of my steel rapiers I prefer to buy from. Shop all complete rapiers. I would wager what you probably handled was something that looked more like this. These are called swept hilt rapiers. There are different varieties. This has a wide fencing blade. Let me see if I see another that's a little more... this is probably another one that's very similar to what you saw. Put a rose on it. Oh, Johnny, You are a wonderful, wonderful person. But Paris, I think the problem with this is it's a lot of weight with minimal coverage, and it can be a bit rough on the hand, especially for smaller hands. What I would recommend is something more akin to, if you were going steel. Uh, Now this is a allegedly an Italian court rig. I've I've fought with this exact rig. It can be a bit much. How you place the pommel will affect the overall weight. Would it smell sweet? You guys are terrible. I love you, but you're terrible. Um, or even something closer to mine, but in production. Let me see if I can find which a rig like this, the court sword rapier. So this guy or this guy is going to be much lighter. Let's see. Cult of Athena. Oh, is that what she handled? Now it probably was upsized. Cult of Athena. We're just going to do this, and we're going to go here. The smell of sword oil is awesome. It means good times. You just need to build the association. And search. We're just going to go rapiers. Here we go. Man, Deltins, that takes me back. Deltin, early 17th century rapier. Okay. Musketeer, Flamberge. Oh, okay. There are some new well, okay, we'll talk about that. I would recommend uh, early early 17th rapier. Let's see. Probably this guy. You see Riggs. Okay. Here's the thing. That is a lot of metal, and that's a lot of weight. When you believe it or not, you'll find a cup hilt rapier. Let me see if they have a cup hilt here. Okay, they have a musketeer, which is a hybrid. But a cup hilt rapier will be much lighter and provide superior protection for your hands. And I always recommend, especially if you're doing steel training, a cup hilt rapier. Let me see, because you want better hand protection. So, oh, something more akin to this. Which, pardon me about that. Oh, but that is exquisite. Is going to be lighter and faster. You may actually find that. Let me go here. You may actually find that you prefer a small sword due to your size to get the weapon in the comfortable weight range and length, going for a small sword may fit you much better, even though you may not be using small sword technique. The problem is the vast majority of weapons are scaled to someone between 5'10" and 6 feet. They are much of the fencing world is no, that's a wonderful question. Okay, a small sword is the lighter progression of a rapier. Okay, so if you take a rapier, you shorten it, you make it much lighter, minimize the guard so it's more comfortable to carry. Much more traditionally a civilian weapon. Think of it, and I hate to say this, but it handles more like a weaponized foil than a heavy chopping blade. A side sword is usually a bit shorter than a traditional rapier, but it's rigged in a similar fashion and usually has a wider blade, so it is more cut and thrust oriented, where a traditional rapier is much more narrow and thrust oriented. Ironically, the weight of a rapier and an arming sword are virtually identical. Okay, you've never picked up a sword before, so have lots of dumb questions. First off, there are no dumb questions here. This is literally one of my great passions in life, is to help people who've never picked up a sword before chase that dream. That's why I wrote the book. That's why I do this channel every week. Pardon me. This is my third stream of the day, so my throat is a little parched. It's very hard to find gear tailored towards a smaller person. That's why, even though it's live steel, this is probably my favorite little sword. Look at the hilt size, for example. I have very small hands for a guy. They're wide, but my fingers are short. This gives me a comfortable grip. The hilt is probably a centimeter and a half in diameter. I should have a measure of some sort around here. Mine is a very disorganized lot. It's something I'm working on. The blade is 20 inches long, so we could translate that into centimeters. It's 20 times 2.2, so 40 some odd centimeters. It's not long at all. But if I could get a modern, more rugged version of this rapier, I would have two of them. The guard gives great hand protection. Please ignore the wounds. That has nothing to do with this hobby, and everything to do with being a cat owner. But it's light, it's manageable, and this allows for both cuts. It's sturdy enough to cut, and thrusts. The trick is finding what works for you and having the courage to ask the so-called dumb questions. Because only by asking the dumb questions can you get answers, which is why I pointed you towards Purple Heart Armory. The prices for overseas shipping may be different. I'm not sure about Canadian providers. Let me see. Let me go back and check something, because I don't want to promote and not be able to answer the question. But let's see. You like dumb questions? Because I supply dumb questions because I live to make this man facepalm. Don't you worry about it. Now, that is the nature of our unique experience. Let me see. Oh, Christian, is it in right now? Okay. Dang it. Let me look at something. Let me. Shipping. One moment. Let's see. Yeah, no questions is ever dumb if you're learning. You are starting from zero. Ask them. That's what we're here for. And by asking us, you get supportive, real question and answer, not people who are trying to blow up and sell you stuff. If you want a more traditional on fencing, I'm a big fan of Gigante's The Soleil. Tom Leone has a wonderful translation, uh, and you can get for around $20. If you want to walk the path of this is a classical historical book to read, it can be a bit much, unprimered. Which is right. I literally wrote my book to be a primer for all the people who want to get into sword fighting, but that initial jump is such a pain. Shipping info. Okay. Items stock. Items made. Uh, and see, that's wow. Thanks, guys. It makes me feel better and more welcome. You are always welcome here. First off, that is completely what we do. But yeah, I would really consider going a little shorter on your weapons. So 25, 28 at least for a while in training, and getting a trainer from something like Purple Heart Armory. I am all over the place looking for good rapier trainers. It's sort of something I chase. And I do product reviews. If there's one you want to know about, let me know. But what I would say is just go to Purple Heart Armory if you're looking for the sword to train with, or make a trainer. Just start real cheap and make one. You could get a PVC cross piece. I don't know how handy you are with things. I don't want to presume one way or the other, but PVC is really easy to operate. You just get a little cutting tool, and they're relatively cheap, and you can just, without making a mess, twist this guy on, spin it around a couple times. It digs a groove in, breaks real nice. Pound these guys. There is, if you want to use PVC glue, you can. You get a set of what's called primer. You paint it, paint the glue on, bang it together. Uh, but for what I do, because I have to be versatile, I love this little guy because with this little guy in here, I can teach two-handed techniques, different weapon styles. If I need to make a prop, I can make a prop foam blade to show how an axe would work, or a hammer, or different cross guards. It's very modular, and it was incredibly inexpensive. This is honestly one of my favorite trainers in all my years of handling so many weapons to make. But it just, because it's very easy and simple for what we do. Um, you can start training by just basically doing box step, making sure your feet are under you. Before I go any further, if you don't mind sharing, do you have any background in either marching band, martial arts, wrestling, uh, or dance at all? Gymnastics, anything like that? Because I know it sounds like I'm asking the Artie, do you smell fudge questions, but that kind of thing gives you mechanical knowledge, like body mechanic knowledge of how to fence that I don't necessarily have to build on. Or we can build you from the ground up, and we will be happy. I offer training, to the best, free of charge. I live in Indiana in the United States of America, so obviously in person isn't something likely to happen. But through this YouTube channel and my books, I'm able to help people worldwide learn the basics of how to do this. I will be writing more books in this series. The Patreon members are aware of some that are in the works. I'm actually going to be doing one on rapier slash side sword that's a little more just that part and not the full extension, because I might be able to put that as a shorter, less expensive volume to further get the information out there and make it accessible. I only charge a cup, literally $2 or $3 over print cost. Is that a giant wooden fish behind you? No? No? This? Oh, this is my anglerfish. Don't you have an anglerfish? Yeah, this is my anglerfish. It was a gift. uh, just Dusty's no, wooden fish puzzle. No, okay. I have a couple anglerfish rattling around. This was a Halloween decor item I purchased at rather steep discount. Actually, Mandy purchased it for me as part of my anniversary gift because I have a love of all things spooky, and my second or third favorite podcast of all time is the Magnus Archives. It vies with Night Vale. Welcome to Night Vale for my second place. My first being the phenomenal Old Gods of Appalachia. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Ah, all right. I have no experience like that. My father and brother kept me fairly insulated from people, but they are no longer in the picture. So I need to learn to protect myself. That is incredibly mature of you. And believe it or not, you are in a very right kind of niche area, because I overlay my discussion in both the Simple Sword and these weekly get-togethers and other filmed videos with practical safety assessment stuff, because I have this crazy idea that I want to keep everybody as safe as possible. And being as safe as possible is a mix of training for when things go wrong and being observant and learning how to keep bad things from happening the majority of the time. No systems are perfect, but it's all a great start to kind of hardening you as a target. Uh, the world can be very scary, but I think if you spend time around us, you'll be able to get a lot of give and take. Uh, yeah, Nick does a lot of things with abuse survivors like us too. I probably should explain. I got into this originally way back when I was in the SCA because I worked with safety is a pretty big issue in the case her brother decides, okay. Uh, I started out, I was somebody who had a lot of promise, and I had an instructor who would take they had to accept everyone who came to practice as part of college static rules, but he would take the people he thought were the most likely, and they usually were of a certain build, that 5'10" to 6 foot, long, lean, athletic type guys. Not quite type A personalities, but up there. Some women, mostly guys. And women who are either very attractive conventionally to him or of certain builds. And anyone else, well, he started pawning them off on me, and I had noticed that he was actually training them wrong so that they would lose more and not waste his time. I thought originally it was a mistake, so I simply taught them everything I knew and helped them learn how to find their fight. And what I found is, one, they did quite well and it upset a lot of people. But two, certain people were kind of drawn to work with me. And it became my specialty to work with people who are abuse survivors, rape survivors, suicide survivors, uh, people with physical limitations that others didn't think could do anything, people who might be out of shape. Uh, I run the gambit because I've worked with a few PTSD vets who want to learn to sword fight to control the switch of their response. I came into sword fighting to learn to deal with some issues, and that's what we do. It's not quite therapy, but it sure feels that way sometimes. And I can say this: I know what it's like to be hopelessly outmatched by situations, and to be physically damaged, and to have people do great harm onto one. No two abuse cases are the same. No two stories are the same. But it breaks down to, I believe there are two kinds of people in this world: those who have met their Waterloo and those who will. The people who have met their Waterloo, they have engaged in a situation where they could not win. Usually, pain and damage, uh, threat of death were involved with that, and it changes a person and how one endures that change. But I do believe that with support from good people and guidance, people can grow from their problems. And I find that learning the sword teaches a lot to help build the confidence and the body awareness. Longer people are in, the more likely that they are to get my improvised weapons and self-defense discussions. And a lot of us have it. I recommend, there is a Facebook group, the Historical Fencing Guild Public group. If you are on Facebook, you definitely want to sign up there, because that's a great way to get resources. If you do Twitter, at ntalkert is my Twitter handle. We can find other ways to kind of make sure you're comfortable here, and you get what resources you need to learn what you want to learn at a pace you're comfortable doing it. Your history is complicated, but I definitely have some mental and physical scars from it. I would say this: you are definitely in the right place, uh, digitally, for people who have complicated histories. If, like I said, if we can help in any way we can, we will. Um, I do recommend that, especially if you're looking at this for uh, safety, you do whatever you can to mitigate your personal limitations. Um, any aerobic exercise can help. Obviously, consult with a medical professional before you engage in any martial art or any exercise program. But whenever possible, we want to try to do as much athletically as possible to offset our training. Okay, I am not going to share that comment thesis. I have no problem with the sentiment, but due to the language, and I don't want anything to look premeditated, so I will actually. No, I can't do that here. Well, I guess I am sharing that. We're I may not be know the details that Paris is in, but I have definitely been in the place that Thesis is. And the best thing I can do is help you to be more tactically aware. The first and foremost is develop situational awareness. Um, it can be anything as making sure your doors are locked when you get home, to not looking around on your phone, but paying attention to the world around you, excuse me, uh, wherever you are. You want to be aware without being scared, if at all possible. It takes time. I like to play mental. It's not like he's likely to. It's not likely he's up here in the Great North, so you don't have to worry about that. Point. Uh, being aware of a situation and playing games like what's wrong with this picture. I'll walk out and randomly try to decide what's wrong with this picture. And I will look around, I'll look at the people walking around me, and I'll look at the stuff. And you'll usually find something. Being American, it's as simple as spotting somebody who has a concealed weapon, or somebody who's angry, uh, something that could be a threat, or maybe it's not a threat. It's a, hey, there's a door I didn't realize was there. Uh, Keeping yourself mentally engaged in where you are and what you're doing, that mindfulness is a lot towards staying safe in any given situation. And one can easily develop that mindfulness training and especially sparring with people. So, as your confidence builds, I do highly recommend you seek out groups to potentially work with or from, either from LARPing groups or historical recreation groups or Eastern martial arts groups. Uh, it's hard to go it alone. Okay, that's where we are. I rarely leave my apartment because I'm still afraid of everyone. I'm hoping learning the sword will help me rebuild my confidence. It is so wonderful that you realize that and are doing something about that sensation. Fear unguided turns to paranoia real fast. So learning how not just to fence because it will make you feel safer, but learning how to see things and judge people is a wonderful way to ratchet that down. Because of some of my trauma, I am intensely uncomfortable in crowds. Uh, there are reasons I never go anywhere without a knife. Several of them are, simply practical due to some nerve damage. It's very difficult for me to do certain things like rip open bags and things. But I mean, I can still wield a sword because it's easier to destroy than create. But it's important to learn how to read your surroundings. Uh, Agoraphobic. Yeah, crowds give me the jitters. Me too. I do hope that you're availing yourself of some type of professional counselor, um, because I'm not qualified to do anything like that formally. I do tend to help people where possible, but a lot of it a lot of it can be mitigated by actively being aware. Because a lot of times if I think I'm scared of the crowd, I will scan the crowd. Force my mind to slow down and go, okay, why am I scared? Am I scared because there's a bunch of people? Or am I scared because there's something going on that my subconscious is catching and making me feel uneasy? You want to build that relationship of almost communication between the part of you that's scared and the part of you that's in control. And the trick is not to override it. In my experience, it's learning to control it and harness it and listen to it. Because there are some times where it's totally appropriate to be afraid. The trick is knowing what you're afraid of, knowing why you're afraid, and knowing what you're going to do about it. Because many people want to say that there's, something goes wrong and you have fight or flight. That is not entirely true. Oh, I'm so sorry. We get very bad windstorms and the pressure suddenly shifts around my home. And right now there's one going on. That's why my internet's being so lovingly difficult. But I think if you learn to communicate with your fear, understand why you're scared, and assess, is this reasonable? You'll learn to develop the difference between the I'm scared all the time and my hyper awareness is telling me something important. Because hypervigilance is something that has been a part of my life for a very long time. I've learned to use it and use it as playfully as possible because it's going to be going on anyway. I might as well work, make it work for me instead of against me. Oh, sorry, I was talking and I lost track of the comments briefly. Uh, me, agoraphobic, me too, match a hiding notes. I have a therapist that I talk to on a regular basis, a female therapist because men still trigger me if I don't know them. She's a friend of Kitty, Foxy, and Thesis as well. Wonderful. And that means you're getting the help you need. I would be sure to talk to her about engaging in this kind of training. And you're more than welcome to show her my videos or, about me so that she knows who you're talking about, what you're talking about. Please be sure to keep anything you want as anonymous as you're comfortable with because I want you to be safe. That's incredible since I thought I'd turn that off. My apologies. And if need be, we can set up a direct kind of chat so that you can talk a little more openly. But I will do whatever I can to help. It is difficult to do so at this kind of distance, but my book will give you a great start on the mechanics. There is a video where I break it down because a friend of mine was suddenly in trouble and she felt she needed a guided tour of the style. So I did a video kind of rapidly breaking down what how I talk people through the basics at the beginning. But that's what we're literally what we're here for. We're here to help people learn. We discuss the history, we discuss the sword geekiness, but my truest purpose is helping people, frankly, like you, Paris, who have had to endure, especially things they don't deserve to have endured, and need the support of good people to have the strength and develop their own strength to maybe level up. I am sort of a footstool in people's lives. I promote people, I build them up. If there is an issue, I will be as kindly honest as I can. But that's completely what I'm about. So, and yes, there is a Discord group. I admit I am absolutely abhorrent with following the Discord group that Thesis set up, but I forgot it was there. But I also trust the people here to handle most entry level stuff. There's also someone by the name of Trelena Bachman, who you may see come through here, who I heartily recommend. She is a female swordswoman of no small water, and she has endured quite a bit herself. So she's a very supportive, understanding person. But I do believe that martial arts are for anyone, and what you're talking about is one of the great reasons to get into it. I just want to make sure that everything is laid out in a way to best benefit you. And I really would recommend reading my book. You can get it inexpensively on Kindle. Unfortunately, I used a little color, so it's a bit more expensive in print than I would have had it. But that's what we're about here. Now, this show normally goes only about an hour, but if there's anything else you'd like, if there's if you want a specific sort of lesson plan discussion, I'll be happy to lay that out for you. And if not, just simply digging through some of the videos, you'll find a lot of material. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been streaming for quite a while, actually. That is fair. Then I would recommend either the Discord group or becoming a Patreon member, because that'll give you a very limited message. If you would like, I can send you an email you can contact me with directly, if that would be of service to you, because that's what I'm here for. But for now, I would say I would consider getting a yes. Patreon is almost literally everyone in this chat, and I am freer on what I can say there. And honestly, that gives me an excuse to be even more interactive than I've been on Patreon. Last couple weeks, I've had some issues, but I'm all about building people up. And but I also don't want to take your money. So if you have questions or something you want to push through, have Thesis or Foxy let me know. I can talk to people over computer screens because no one is staring at me and making me self-conscious. I hate that you would feel that way, but I do understand that that sense of being. And I think we can help you. At least learn the basics of swordsmanship in such a way that it mirrors. Because it's funny, I was talking to another member of this lovely organization, a man by the name of Ryan Coker, who specializes in mire. He described the simple sword as a sword agnostic system, meaning any straight sword can use it. And he said that the side sword is a system agnostic sword, which means any system you use, you can basically make a side sword do it. So they're the perfect match for each other. So you coming saying, I'd like to learn the basics of side sword, really does fall almost karmically perfectly into place in what we do. So talk to Thesis, talk to Foxy, because you know them. Anyone else in the chat is wonderful. Maybe I can in a smaller group, but I don't want to bring. Okay. You're not going to bring people here down. Okay, and you won't be judged. I have been physically assaulted numerous times. I have had 2 men and 1 woman at different points attempt to sexually assault me. I have been shot at and missed, and I've been set on fire by a KKK midget. Yes. That is verbatim. I've seen a lot of abuse, and I've come to the point where I see my scars, both the physical and the unseen as they are part of me. And as much as a part of me would love to be cleaner, less unscathed, all that wonderful stuff, I wouldn't be me. So you're not going to pull us down. This our group. What we're doing about is I have this crazy idea that I think if the assorted ists and isms and all the bigots out there can hate people irrationally, I can love them irrationally and try to help folks. So that's what I do. That's what I'm about. I do so in a farcical, sometimes humorous manner, but the core is deadly serious. And I want this right here, the Historical Fencing Guild in any form, digital, personal, literary, to be a safe place. You'll definitely piss. Yeah, we are protective, and we are very protective of people in general, and it does not. Those who tend to be our own tend to come in very easily. It's funny. I think it's because like calls out to like. There's an energy there, and anything you need to discuss, we can find a way to do it if I can help in any way. Thesis and Foxy know how I roll pretty well by now, and I haven't even met them in person. Probably, I mean, there's a real chance that I never will, and that's okay. That's part of the benefit of this day and age. I can support people while I never, without face time, actual face to face time. But it also means I get to deal with my limitations. Uh, Independent creator directory, and that's Joe Bachman. He's between both. This is a very safe place, and we are very protective to those in this circle. Everyone here comes from many different backgrounds, and you don't have to tell us anything. You've told us enough. If it helps you to discuss things, awesome. If it doesn't, you could sit in the back and listen. Stick around as long as you want. If it's not your jam, you can mosey out. If you mosey out, you can always come back. That's kind of how this works. I just want people to be safe, to level up in some, in ways that they want, to find good people, and that's what I do. And I also teach people how to defend themselves and use a vaster variety of mostly melee weaponry. I mean, I dabble in archery and marksmanships of other kinds, but I usually stick to instruct in the melee. But that's what we're here for, folks. I will say it is getting an hour 30, and my throat starts to get awful rough real fast. So, Paris, please feel free to reach out to me in any way that's comfortable for you. If even if all you do is if you have Kindle Unlimited, I believe you can download my book for free. If you want to buy it, if you have questions, again, you can send them directly to me, and I will be happy to answer them either through here or through whatever forum works for you. I'm fairly easy to get a hold of. Cindy says, don't forget to tip your host. Yes. If anybody feels the need to financially support me outside of the guild and other buying my books, paypal.me/Nicholas Tuckert is there as a tip jar, basically. I do recommend my books for people getting started, and yes, you can find them on Amazon.com/store/Mr. Nicholas Tuckert or bit.ly/Nick Tuckert. My art, because I am an artist, for those of you who don't know, at deviantart.com/NickT. Patreon for the Historical Fencing Guild is patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild. Um, I have another channel other than this, the Nicholas Tuckert channel, where I do my literary stuff and my creative endeavors, and I host like a bunch of talk shows, including Nevermind the Furthermore, which I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And but yes, the Independent says the books are great for learning, honestly. And Happy New Year. Gong Hai Fat Choi, which I believe we are going right into the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, which should make things a little interesting. I'm a big fan of that. The energy changes a little bit, but yes, Happy Lunar New Year. Yes. I hope if it's a reason to celebrate, I hope you're celebrating safely and having a good time. Guys, with that, aside from me being thinking it might be time for me to go through another walkthrough of the book, uh, guys, do your drills. Okay, keep your eyes open so you can see what's coming. Be kind to yourself and each other, and as always, friends, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will be back this time Friday, next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern for another episode of the Historical Fencing Guild live stream. And I hope you all have a wonderful year of the rabbit. I will see you all very soon. Have a wonderful night.